The best performances in the NHL games were turned in by those players who stood out from the others during the course of the whole season. Fans of the sport could easily tell that they were witnessing one of the most impressive individual performances in the annals of the NHL. A significant number of famous players have turned up dominating performances that are worthy of being among the top NHL performances ever. These are conceptualized by the player making huge saves, scoring game-winning goals, or occasionally seizing control of the game. Players that made it into this list dominated not just one game or one series on their way to a successful run in the season. Instead, they did it throughout many games across the entire season. So, which are the top 10 best single-game performances, and what was so unique about these moments? Well, brace yourselves for an epic and untold story as we reveal the top 10 best single-game performances the NHL has ever seen. Let's get started. Number 10. Craig Anderson, April 18, 2010. Colorado Avalanche vs. San Jose Sharks. The Avalanche pulled off an unbelievable victory in the third game of their first-round playoff series against the Sharks. During the approximately 61 minutes played, San Jose had a 51-17 advantage in shots on goal against Colorado. However, the game was decided when an errant backhand pass by Dan Boyle hit Ryan O'Reilly's stick and went by San Jose goalkeeper Evgeny Nabokov. However, Anderson's ability to stop every shot he faced allowed O'Reilly to win, sending the Colorado fans into a frenzy and giving birth to the now iconic photo of the Avalanche goalkeeper flashing a toothy grin. The 51 saves set a new record for the fewest goals allowed in a postseason game in this decade. Number 9. Duncan Keith, June 15, 2015, Chicago Blackhawks vs. Tampa Bay Lightning. Keith's performance in Game 6 of the 2015 Stanley Cup Final was the icing on the cake for his efforts that led to his receiving the Conn Smythe Trophy. After an outstanding playoff, Keith stepped out on the ice in the game that ultimately decided who would win the Stanley Cup and skated for more than 30 minutes. His late goal in the second period, in which he entered the zone, received a pass from Patrick Laine, shot the puck, and then followed up on the rebound to score the game-winning goal and win the Stanley Cup, had the most significant influence on the final result. Number 8. Johan Franzen, February 2nd, 2012. Ottawa Senators vs. Detroit Red Wings. Franzen's goal column stuffer was one of those performances where the puck kept finding him at the right moment. In the last 10 years, only 2 players have scored 5 goals in a game. One is on this list. Franzen had 10 shots on goal for the evening, with 2 goals scored in the first period and 3 in the third. The game finished with Franzen having scored a total of 5 times. Each goal scored by the Red Wings on their way to a 7-5 victory was significant. Number 7. David Pastrnak, April 14, 2018, Boston Bruins vs. Toronto Maple Leafs. Pastrnak was one of just 3 players in the previous 10 years to earn 6 points in a postseason game. He did this by tormenting the Maple Leafs in Game 2 of the 2018 first-round series. In that game, the Maple Leafs were eliminated from the playoffs. It was evident that he would start the night with the same experience. Pasta finished the first period with a goal, 2 primary assists, and a third assist, and he continued his strong play into the second period. He ended Boston's 7-3 lead with 2 goals in the second half of the third period, putting an end to the game. The Bruins won the series after it went the full 7 games. Number 6. Claude Giroux, April 13, 2012. Philadelphia Flyers vs. Pittsburgh Penguins. What sets Pasternak's 6 points apart from Giroux's efforts of the same magnitude? Well, that Giroux was able to earn points in a variety of different methods. In the first period, he is credited with helping with a shorthanded assist. In the second period, he scored on both the man advantage and the penalty kill. In addition to all of this, he scored a goal with the net empty in the third period, and he did all of this while guiding the Flyers to a crucial victory in Game 2 that gave Philadelphia the upper hand in the series against the rival Penguins. Number 5. Patrik Laine, November 24th, 2018, Winnipeg Jets vs. St. Louis Blues. Laine has established a reputation for himself ever since he debuted in the NHL, thanks to his lethal shot and pinpoint accuracy. His performance at the beginning of the previous season against the Blues was the finest illustration of that ever. Laine did not commit a single turnover during the game, in which the Jets ultimately won 8-4. He scored once in the first period, 3 times in the second, and once more in the third to finish the game with a perfect 5-goal performance on 5 shots. Number 4. Johan Franzen, San Jose Sharks vs. Detroit Red Wings, May 6, 2010. Regardless of how amazing the other 6-point performances on this list may be, none of them can compare to Franzen's 4-goal, 6-point effort in the second round of the playoffs against the Sharks. No other 6-point performance on this list comes close to matching that. At a time when the Red Wings desperately needed a win to maintain their prospects of making the playoffs, Franzen scored a natural hat trick in the first period, and he did so in less than 4 minutes, no less. Additionally, he was involved in the scoring of all but one of Detroit's 7 goals in their defeat of the Sharks. However, Franzen's efforts were in vain. The Red Wings were eliminated in the 5th game of the series. Number 3. Martin Jones, April 21st, 2019, San Jose Sharks vs. Vegas Golden Knights. Jones needed to have an outstanding performance in Game 6 of the first round of the 2019 playoffs. He did end up being really tall. When the Sharks season was on the line, Jones made 58 saves, which allowed San Jose to hang on long enough for Thomas Hertl to score a game-winning goal in double overtime, pushing the series to a 7th game. The effort that Jones turned in for the Sharks in Game 7, which saw him make the 3rd most saves in a victory over the previous 10 years, made the victory feasible for the team. This performance happened during one of the most memorable games of the decade. Number 2. Ben Scrivens, January 29, 2014, Edmonton Oilers vs. San Jose Sharks. After being traded to the Oilers in the middle of January 2014, Scrivens' first 2 weeks with the team were uneventful, but no one could have predicted what would take place just 2 weeks later. On that particular night, the high-powered Sharks offense sent everything they had at Scrivens. But the newly acquired goalkeeper could stop each of the 59 shots that were directed in his direction. The 59 saves that were made during the shutout were the most that any goaltender has made during a blanking during the previous 10 years. In addition to that, it contributed to the establishment of a new record in the National Hockey League for the most saves made in a regular season shutout. And at number 1, we have Sam Gagner, February 2nd, 2012, Edmonton Oilers against Chicago Blackhawks. Because it was the first and only game in the history of the NHL to include 8 points since the 1988-89 season, placing it at the very top of the list was, well, an obvious choice. Gagner was there in every facet of the game that night and had a hand in every one of the 8 goals the Oilers scored against the Blackhawks. What is often overlooked about that performance is the fact that Edmonton was already behind Chicago by a score of 2-0 when Gagner started getting going. The puck seemed to stick to him as he scored 3 goals and provided 5 more points for the Oilers in the 3rd period. He gave the Oilers the lead in the 2nd period by scoring a goal and providing 2 critical assists. An interesting tidbit is that every one of Gagner's arguments was founded on basic principles. So, which single game performance stood out the most? And has your best player ever pulled off a unique and memorable game performance? Please let us know in the comments section down below. Be sure to also subscribe and leave that notification bell turned on. And remember, keep your sticks in the ice, and we'll see you in the following video.